everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and here with,
David Lane from Geek Wellness Education back again.
yeah, this is your fourth time, I guess, since I've done it. I think you've
Well,
been,
I think at least once a year you like to test the limits of my will to live by making me watch a movie.
'cause I think
And
you've been there since the beginning. I think you were there the first season, too.
cool, cool, cool.
I think so. If
I'm
not the
sure
second
many more
season.
seasons to come because this is always fun for your listeners.
I
So
don't know. We'll see. This is really draining. Because
yeah,
I'm a procrastinator and decided to start doing it way later than I should have. I should have been doing this back in January or whatever. But July is it's kind of late.
pushing it.
Uh, but it's getting done, so that's all that matters. So we are here to talk about a little movie. If you could tell from my background behind me, we're talking about a little movie called Headless Horseman, which has no horse, but a motorcycle named Horse, apparently.
Also, no headless.
Also, no headless. Yes, he was not. Well, somebody became headless, and I was like,
Yes.
wait, they chopped somebody's head off, but didn't chop and obviously they didn't want to because he needed his head, for to talk and to
Yes, yes,
have
yes.
but basically this movie is The Crow meets Ghost Rider meets Spawn. Like all three of those movies. If you put them all and had them have an orgy and they all were able to produce one movie from one movie baby from that orgy, this would be the outcome of that movie, I believe.
Here's the thing. When you say, Ghost Rider meets The Crow with I guess a little bit of Spawn thrown in, that sounds really awesome.
Doesn't
Uh
it?
it, I'm sure we're in for a great time with this movie. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than what the Asylum could do, I guess, with it.
Yeah, this is an Asylum production which immediately lowers expectations, but it is what it is, and we're going to talk about it.
Exactly. So the Asylum produced it. The director and writer was Jose Prendez. Jose Prendez generally makes sort of fun movies for the Asylum. I mean, they're not boring, movies. And I feel like sometimes the Asylum makes these movies that are just military jargon talk movies where they bring in the military, and military is talking about, it was Vector 5, Echo 8, whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, after a while, I'm like, I want action. I want, cool shit to happen. This movie, I mean, with the minimal budget that they had, they tried to do exactly those three movies, into one
Yeah, I
movie.
think that well, everybody has a complaint about the asylum, whether it's the low budget. That doesn't bother me. I get it. Not everyone can afford, $100 million special effects. My big thing with the asylum is they got it right with Sharknado in that if you're gonna do something that no one's gonna take seriously, just go there. Just embrace the ridiculous nature of what you're doing. And anytime you're talking about these mockbusters that they do, no one's gonna take them seriously as high art. So you might as well be silly. This is not silly. This is they're trying to tell a good movie here,
Mhm.
and in some ways succeeded, in some ways did not. But yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess that always happens, especially in low budget films. Of there's some that some parts that succeed and some parts do not because of the limited budget.
sure.
I, the cheesy special effects, like that guy behind me, that effect, that was fun. I didn't mind that at all. Like I knew exactly what we were getting. I was just so happy that they did it, because so many times the cover shows that kind of stuff, and then you look at it and you're like, well, that's not going to be in the movie, right? Or whatever. And they tried it.
Yeah. Lots of horror movies have like they license an image for the cover that has nothing to do with the film inside. Yeah.
Mm.
But if we can start with something that has nothing to do with the film, and we touched on it a minute ago, the IMDb synopsis is: when seconds from death, a nearly decapitated and desperate man makes a deal with the devil to protect the love of his life and seek revenge on the drug dealer who almost murdered him. And
Yeah.
as we mentioned,
Well, it's a nearly. That meant that
well,
he wasn't.
when you say nearly decapitated, nothing happens to his head or neck. Uh, he's shot multiple times. He's
Yeah.
stabbed in the abdomen, but at no point does his head even come close to flying off. I feel like this is one of those asylum bits where they made the movie and then went, let's just call it Headless Horseman. So yeah, let's just write in the description that he almost loses his head,
Well,
even
I
though
feel
it
like it had to already have the Headless Horseman as a title because he called his motorcycle horse. Like, I don't
right,
think he would have called his motorcycle horse had they not already known it was going to be called that because the first thought in my head was there is no horse. It's a motorcycle. Why not call it
right.
the Headless Motorcyclist?
Yeah, well, and his name is Brandon, which I'm fairly certain is because Brandon Lee played in The
Oh,
Crow.
yep. So I have a thing about that. So there are three names in the movie that are actually based on crow names.
Yep.
Sophia was a so there was a Sophia there was a Sophia hold on, I'll get it in a second. And then there was a Angel. And those are all names in the original Crow movie, not the characters, but the actors' names. So
Right.
Brandon Lee, obviously. Then there was Sophia Sheenis, and there was an Angel David.
Cool.
So they really so Jose knew what he was doing. Like there
Yeah,
it
wearing
was
those
Crow.
influences on the sleeve.
Yeah. And the whole idea of coming back, from hell and having vengeance upon this isn't a original, thing. And I don't expect that from the asylum anyway. They're known for mockbusters.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what mockbuster. I don't think this was a because I don't think The Crow was supposed to come out in 2022, was it? The
Oh,
new
it's been
Crow?
delayed a bunch of times.
So maybe they had a release date and then they thought they could beat it or whatever, so they started working on it, and then maybe I don't know, but the fact that it's called Headless Horseman doesn't. And the only thing I did like though in the original Headless Horseman, like Sleepy Hollow story, there was the Bridge of Souls, and there was sort of a bridge. It's kind of a weird bridge.
Yes, much of this film takes place on a bridge. Yes,
Yes, I wish they called it the Bridge of Souls. Though. I mean, they can get away with that because it really, literally was a bridge of souls,
sure.
considering, he had to give his soul to the devil. So there's a little devil and Daniel Webster thing going on. There was a little supernatural, what's that? Like, crossroads demon stuff going on with the devil, come in there. Played very well by Michael Pare, I guess that's how you say his name. Who's been
Yeah,
in a lot of movies.
Eddie and the Cruisers. Yeah,
Yeah, he was fantastic.
he
I
he
love him.
did go to the dark side.
He was wonderful. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they chose wisely on that. He was the biggest name in the movie, I think,
Oh,
except
sure.
but there was a guy I was not expecting to see for very long. I thought he was only going to be in it for like 20 minutes and he was going to die and then never come back. But that was freaking Sean Whalen, who played a character. What was his character name? Like something weird. They kept calling him something. Crap. My brain is I just watched this too. Like my brain's not what it used to be. They call him Fleck. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah. Fleck.
and Sean Whalen was known for playing the character Roach in People Under the
Yeah,
Stairs.
people on the stairs.
And they made a roach reference. They said something like
Yep.
something about roaches or whatever. And I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah. This guy's like a roach. He won't die, and is like, well,
yeah,
then squish him or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking that's kind of funny. Like, that the former roach is calling this guy a roach. Um, one of my big problems with the movie, story wise and screenplay wise, I would say, is that Fleck at one point comes to Angel and tells him, "Oh, this guy sold his soul, blah 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 blah." He didn't hear any of that part. He didn't get to that. That was bad editing or something because he didn't actually show up till like later,
Hmm.
so he kind of saw him practicing with the devil, but he never heard all that stuff about who, how he came back and everything. So all of a sudden he had all this information that he should not have had, you know? And I feel like his character should have showed up earlier and watched for a while, and everything.
Yeah.
So
Well, if they would have done the oh, I left my phone, I have to go back, like immediately, so that he saw the entire exchange, then he would have known that. That doesn't even get into the fact that these are the slowest police officers in the world. I mean, there are multiple gunshots going off.
they even addressed
And
that in the movie though.
Oh, I mean, they addressed it a couple of times. Of now, they address it later of this particular building the cops don't go to. But in that scene, they were like, the cops, the cops are going to be coming because of the sound of the gun. And then after he warns them, don't shoot the gun because the cops are going to come. He then, like 2 minutes later, shoots the guy twice.
Right.
And the cops never do show up. So
Oh, they can't afford LAPD, you
no.
know. Um,
So yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that they're just hoping you kind of uh, overlook, which I mean, I tend there's certain things when it comes to the script that I tend to not give um, any a pass on because if it's free, essentially free, then I can't give you a pass on it. It's one thing if you can't show the world being destroyed because your budget doesn't allow for that. But if it's words coming out of people's mouths or something like you said about how did he hear a conversation that he wasn't even there for, that sort of thing is it doesn't
that's
matter
like
what
a
your budget
continuity
is.
error,
Yeah, that's
right? Like,
that's something that someone should have been there to say, hey, this doesn't play right.
I honestly think it was the editing. Honestly, I think there was a problem. Like maybe in the script he was there, but when they did the editing, it just didn't match. Like trying to get him there to,
Yeah,
and show all the stuff. Dude, did you notice who did the freaking music for this movie?
not a clue.
Harry Manfredini.
Oh, wow, cool.
The guy who did Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
And it's weird, because when I saw it, I was like, what? Like it just seemed like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, how can we get yeah, so he did I don't know the editor. Okay, I don't know the editor. Yeah, Harry Manfredini did the score, so that's incredible. I was having fun looking at the credits because I was like, oh, that's really cool, and then and I don't know if he's worked on many Asylum films or if this is one of his only ones or if he was friends with Jose. A lot of times people bring outside people because they know them and they'll help out. Um let's I've talked to Harry. He's very cool about like if he's allowed to use like he has certain scores that he can overuse on other things and stuff and kind of bring in and stuff. And then there's if you want like an original score, you'd pay a little bit more money. But if you want like whatever, I think that's how it is. I hope I'm not trying to put words in Harry's mouth how he does his business, but that's like sort of what I got. And so this movie had, I mean, the score wasn't Friday the 13th, you know? Like it's not as memorable, but it has
Yeah.
moments where I kind of dug it, you know?
Yeah, and I think well, a lot of composers will have where you can license music, and it's not exclusively yours. Other movies can license it as well. Um, or if you want something original, well, you're gonna have to pay a lot more, which sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
Yep.
But speaking of classics like Friday the 13th, this is a Halloween-esque film, and not the movie, not the franchise, but it takes place during Halloween.
Hmm.
That explains the pumpkin on the guy's head for no good reason. Um,
Well, other than the because isn't the whole Headless Horseman supposed to be like a pumpkin on his head or something?
yeah, but he never lost his head, is my point.
Right. And but they
So the
have
devil puts a pumpkin seed in his nose, and a pumpkin grows around his head.
and it can
Um,
go on and off whenever I guess
yeah,
they
yeah.
feel
Whenever he
like it.
wants, he can turn it on and off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is weird. I don't know. Like, I don't know why they did that, but
I
like,
do. Budget.
well, no, I don't know. Yeah, because they can't have the pumpkin on the whole time. But what I'm saying is, like, I don't know why, like, the script needed that. Like you said, I guess to make it look cool and to have it stand out, you know, and be Headless Horseman, like, I mean,
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
it. I do I wish he had lost his head? Probably not. It would have been a little weird. It would have been kind of funny if he held his head and he was talking, to
Yeah.
him, or whatever, like, oh, would kind of be funny. But I think that might be what they're trying to get away from is making it too comedic. They wanted this to be serious,
Yep.
and they wanted to make that serious, I guess.
Yeah. I think so. I guess the point is, if you do watch a bunch of Halloween related movies during the Halloween season, this might be one that you can add. There's a growing number of Halloween themed movies, but this might be one you can add. Um, and also, he has a Wolverine claw.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, but it's not just a Wolverine claw. It also shoots green electricity that can make you blow up and disintegrate. So yeah, this guy's got a lot going on.
He does.
Yep.
He absolutely does. He is. I guess would that make this also like an X-Men thing? I think whatever. I don't know. You know,
Why not?
I, I it had so much going for it, so much different stuff. I like the lead girl in it.
Yep. Yep.
I thought it was really cool that at the end she like tried to sacrifice herself to the devil. By the way, there's spoilers. You're gonna hear spoilers. So she tries to like sacrifice herself to the devil and bring him back, which I was like, oh my God, really? Like at one point because I was like, so you're gonna bring him back when after he did everything for you, you're gonna want to bring him back. So let me guess at the end, you two are gonna be somehow allowed to be together, on Earth again.
Eh.
And I guess I don't know if that's gonna be the case or not because they kind of leave it open-ended where
Oh, I
it
mean, you can't tell a Ghost Rider X-Men movie without teasing a sequel.
right,
You know,
which
you're
they have not made yet. So I'm thinking that's not gonna happen.
yeah. So you mentioned the devil. I thought he was good. The girl, the fiance, played by Sophia, played by Amanda Jones. I thought she was really good. You know, she has there's a couple of scenes that call for emotion, and she brought it. Um, it's strange. The actor that played Brandon, I thought, emoted the least of pretty much anyone in the film.
He was very like one note.
Yeah.
He's kind of monotone, which kind of drove me crazy. I think he was told to be that way. Like I
Yeah.
feel like that was a character thing.
It felt very flat. Of it felt very guy reading lines to me. Um, you know, which I get. That's all. That's a a director. I mean, a directing thing as well. You got to get your actors in the right position to be able to put on the best performance. But yeah, I think that his performance really brought the least spark. I mean, of most of the characters that were in the film. But yeah,
And
she was great. There's a couple times where she needs emotion, and she does it. I was really impressed with her. Got to find some other stuff she's in. Um, the there's so he's killed, brought back to life, and his quest that the devil gives him is to uh, basically kill off all the people involved, very crowish. Kill off all the people involved, save his girlfriend because his girlfriend used to date Angel, who's a
mhm.
drug dealer, and he actually had some pretty good lines. There were two or three times in the movie where I kind of smiled at how at a couple of his lines
He had
about
also like a little bit of charisma to him,
yeah. Hmm.
which for a villain you kind of need because like okay, so when you watch a movie like this, you're watching like look take a look at Michael Wincott in in The Crow. He did such a fantastic job in that role. He was the quintessential villain, and then he had his lackeys and other people that were around, like Bai Ling and other people that were, basically coming after the
Sure, yeah, the
assassins,
yeah.
henchmen, whatever you want to call them. And we have those in this movie too. And but I feel like you have to have a character. Like you have to have a character that actually as is a character, like is lively. And I was worried in the very beginning of the movie because they weren't showing his face or anything like that. And I was like, oh God, is this going to be the whole thing? You don't see what this dude looks like till like the end, the end of the movie or something, or whatever, and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, whatever. And then it turns out that the guy who played Angel, you see him most of the time. I mean, he's after the beginning of the movie where uh he is dealing with the random dude who really, other than to get killed in the beginning of the movie, has no place in the rest of the movie. Like they don't call back to that guy. That guy had nothing to do with.
No. That was just to show that you could literally kill someone on the side of the street and no one would notice or care. That's all that scene was meant for.
Yeah, I guess that sets that up. Yep. You're right about that.
Um, so yeah, he he wants to get the Sophia character because they used to date. He's not over it, and so he wants to kidnap her. Very quickly, he switches from "well, if I can't have you, no one will" to "let's drug her up and use her as a drug running mule." Um,
Mhm.
that was a little like, so you've been obsessing over this ex all this time, and then just you know what? Let's just have her be a drug runner for us.
Right. Well, and then at the end of the movie, toward the end of the movie, it goes back to, I want to be in love with you. Why don't we work out? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I think this guy is like a little conflicted on, what he wants out of this woman.
I
because
think the script was a little conflicted about what
yeah,
he
or maybe
wanted
that
to
was it
do with
because
it.
I was just like, wait a minute, he's very bipolar here, like, maybe that's his, I don't know, that is his character, but he's very bipolar. Like one minute he's like, I want this woman back. This woman is the love of my life. Then all of a sudden, yeah, let's use her as a drug mule just so we can keep her around. And then I'm
Or
like,
sell her off to some other guy in Mexico.
yeah, Javier, right?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I thought you wanted to be with this woman. So yeah, I mean the motivations of the bad guy, they really could have fine tuned that a bit before they hit record. But I liked his delivery on a few lines. He was a very happy. Can I cuss?
Yeah,
He was a very happy asshole.
you
In
pretty
that,
much was.
yeah, he had no problem whatsoever being a jerk, and some of those lines were pretty good. Um, and also, and to go back to her, because I think she was one of the shining parts of the movie, is, and I honestly could have taken a little bit more of this if they would have wanted to go down that road. Is you think, okay, here's this beautiful blonde, and she's dating like this guy that like he was like when I first saw him, I thought he was auditioning for the role of Tommy Lee in The Dirt. Uh, but he's kind of like a poor man's Tommy Lee type. He's on a motorcycle, and you think, okay, he's from the wrong side of the tracks, and she's the proper, sweet blonde girl, and so the story is going to go like that. But as it goes forward, you find out, no, she's the one with the darker background. He's just some guy. And she has a history of suicidal ideation. They show a scar on her arm at one point. And so I could have taken, if they chose to go that route, a little bit more of a focus on that dichotomy of, of no, he's not the guy from the wrong side of the tracks. She's from the wrong side of the tracks. Um, for instance, once she gets involved in saving herself, oh, she's much more of a natural killer than he is.
Hmm.
And so to
Except when it came to Fleck. I'm like, why are
yes,
you letting
well,
this
again,
dude
the script,
talk to you?
yeah, yeah,
Don't let
the
this dude talk to you. Just fucking kill him. There was
yeah,
no reason.
yeah, that was it's the plot did not serve it at all times. Let's just say that. For instance, the one guy that she punches, I'm like, she punched him out. But um, she was ready to go to save herself. Now, let's forget about the fact that she sat in that bedroom for hours not trying to escape. But once the script was ready for her to try to escape, she got out of that room. She took care of business. She had no problem killing the bad guys. Once she made the deal with the devil to basically get her fiance back, I mean, she knew the powers way better than he did. She was able to teleport
Yeah.
with no training whatsoever, and he at least got a trial run on a animated corpse that
Yeah,
he
that
could
was a
practice.
little weird that like I guess that was a pressing of time, but like he he didn't train her at all. And even the when the boyfriend came back, the fiance came back, he barely helped her. I think he told her a couple things of how to do it, but like, which we don't see. We don't see any
Right.
of that. I guess we don't really need it. I mean, it would have been cool though if we got a couple of training montages. You know, um,
Sure.
you
The
know,
little eye of the tiger in the back.
yeah, with Harry Manfredini's Eye of the Tiger. Something like that. That would have been cool. But instead, we sort of got uh we got a training scene, but it was sort of, I don't know, it was sort of lackluster when it came to it because like it was just like At one point, the devil looks over at the this dead corpse guy, and he's like, "Oh, do you want me to see him dance?" And the dude doesn't dance. Dude, if I were supposed to be in that scene, I would have danced a fucking jig. I don't know, the more fun, it would have been more fun. He just kind of got up and just went like this a little bit, and I was just like, boring. Um, but his character, then they use him to like kill him a bunch of times, which he's already dead.
One thing I thought was funny was when he reanimates the guy's corpse and he's like, "Go ahead, take a shot at him, and practice by killing this already dead person." He goes, "Well, I've never killed anybody before." Son, you killed that guy a few minutes ago. The reanimated corpse.
That's right, he did. Yeah, that's how the guy
Yeah.
died. Yep.
So it's like, oh, I've never killed anybody before. You're looking at a guy you killed. So,
Because then it
again,
gets
it was,
easier each time. Yeah.
yeah. But like I said, with her, once she got once she got the powers, she was able to teleport. Um, she learned a lot quicker than him, and so to me there was a little bit there, and maybe it's because the actress was so much better than the person that she was up against. She was emoting throughout the film, and there's a cry scene where beautiful girl, but she ugly cries. And and so I mean, maybe it's that, but when it came time, like I really wanted, I really kind of wanted more from her backstory of, or more like of more of her motivations,
Mm.
because she was just such a more compelling character than this guy that you thought was a bad boy, but he was just some schmuck.
He wasn't,
Um,
yeah, I mean, was also very disappointing was like when you think of guys on like Harleys and
uh-huh,
motorcycles, you think of like, what was that movie like the Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, kind of thing.
sure.
Like you think of like something where they're gruff and they're country and they're bikers, they're fucking Sons of Anarchy, that kind of shit. And then you see this
This is just
guy.
some dude.
I know. I bet he never even rode a motorcycle in his life before then, or if he did own a motorcycle, that's how he got the job, was that he could ride the motorcycle. But by the way, there's actually credited in the movie on IMDb motorcycle double. So I'm
Oh,
wondering
cool.
if any time that there actually was riding that Cade Carrier, who I guess is a
Sounds like a
stunt
guy that would
guy.
ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, and he looks like a guy that would ride motorcycles, and he was the motorcycle. So I guarantee he was the one who was in the helmet and was actually on the thing, um, whatever.
Uh,
I've never ridden a
are you ready
motorcycle
for
myself,
you
so
ready for I'm going to say maybe the largest jump in the history of this show. Um, as I was watching this, what came to my mind was the movie Crazy Beautiful, where
heard of it.
I know, where you think that Kirsten Dunst is beautiful and this guy from the wrong side of the tracks, he's the crazy one, and but yet they're falling in love. But it turns out that she's crazy and he's beautiful.
Okay,
Just exactly. Okay, I know that's not your genre.
you're reaching a little bit, but all right.
Yeah, I know, but it's the same thing with this one in that you kind of expect him to be some sort of bad boy, but he's just some douche. He's just some guy, and meanwhile
He's not a
she's the
douche
one
though.
with the
Like
dark history.
I wish he was a douche. Like I wish that was his character.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, well, yeah, right. He maybe douche isn't the right word because it definitely isn't, because he's just some nondescript guy.
Right,
There's he doesn't have, his only defining trait is being in love with a hot blonde. Well,
right.
guess what? You just described a lot of people.
which
Uh,
which they don't even go into the background of like how do they meet, what. Oh yeah, they do. No, they do. They get into where she said he had ordered coffee from her
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
she
yeah,
gave him free refills. That's how
yeah,
he knew he
yeah,
loved
yeah.
her.
She worked at like
What?
a Starbucks or something.
What? Like free refills make you fall in love with somebody? I'm I don't know. I just
Dude, if the barista looks like Amanda Jones, sure.
all right. Well,
Um,
all right. Anyway,
but otherwise, yeah, it was it's like, oh, well, she's the first person who made me feel seen. Okay, well, is there more to that? Because that's never explored. I mean,
I mean,
and like I said, I mean, I found her to be a much more compelling than character than him, and he's the focus.
I know. But I don't know. There's something like I feel like because this isn't The Crow, right? This isn't a character like a Brandon Lee's, version or whatever from Alex Proyas's movie. It it has that like twist with her sacrificing herself because she felt bad for him doing it to her, which makes, I mean, that's
Well,
a part that I'm still like struggling with.
now the thing about that is, and again, it's why I keep saying I wish they would have explored it more. There's something in her that makes her feel like she deserves hell. That her fiance is such a pure good person
He's never
that,
killed anyone except that one dude, but he's
yeah,
never
except for that
killed
one
anyone.
dude. Yeah. That the fiance is such a good person that he doesn't deserve this, but she views herself as being more deserving of, in eternity in pain. And a lot of that is, you look on the giant scar that's on her arm from when she attempted suicide. You look at, some of the fact that she found her way into that situation to begin with in the past. There's something going on with her to where in her brain she sees herself as more deserving of that than him. And the only reason why he's in this position is because of her past relationship with an ex. Of course, we could psychoanalyze the fact that your crazy ex that won't give up on you is not your fault. But but it's natural human nature to say, "Oh, you've been brought into this chaos that is my life, and it's because you're in love with me. If anyone should take the fall for this, it should be me." Uh, and so, I mean, I kind of, you could, did I just read a whole lot into that? Probably, but I,
Well,
but I, but I
I
was
kind of
able to
agree.
do it.
You know, I agree. Like I agree that because she had tried to kill herself a couple times already. She kind of
Mhm.
showed that
Yeah, yeah,
she already viewed herself as a terrible person. I guess she did drugs and other things, and then got really upset when her friend died from an overdose, and it turned out that he was the supplier,
yep,
and everything. But here's the thing. That's when you tell him that in the beginning, instead of just harboring this grudge against him for so long and not telling him why you're leaving him. Yeah, she didn't have to. That she didn't have to tell him anything. She doesn't have to tell him like a damn thing. But when he is coming at you and he's asking these questions, all the time to you, like why did you leave me? Why aren't you want to be with me? And everything, then just say because you fucking killed my best friend, and everything like that. And I don't like you anymore, and I despise you, and I don't want to have anything to do with you.
yeah.
It's
Don't
not
really
going to
want to
stop
hang out
him,
with the person who killed my best friend. Yeah,
but it's not going to stop
but I
him,
mean, I
but
guess
it's
the thing is,
still, yeah.
yeah, I guess the thing is, I see, I'm able to see, you know, I'm able to see motivation in that. I bet the actress took a lot of that backstory and internalized it and then used it in her performance, which, like I said, she emotes so much more than Brandon, the character Brandon does. And so I think that, again, I'll give her kudos for what I'm assuming is taking the building blocks of this character and then building something out of it and then saying, okay, now that I have a fully fleshed out character in my head, even if it's not going to appear on screen, I can use that to inform the way my character acts. I think that's really important.
Hmm.
And I'm not a screenwriter, I'm not any of this stuff. I'm just a fan, but I think it's important to for an actor to kind of build that life of when the camera's not rolling, what's going on in my character's life, what is their what's going on in their head. And so I felt like she did that. Whereas some of the others, like you said, the script just, I mean, it just failed them of what is their motivation. Well, it
Hmm.
changes it. It can be, it can wildly go from one thing to another in the blink of an eye.
Right.
um I mean, his lackeys, his henchmen, you know, why are they doing what they do? I mean, I know that they're not. Yeah, I mean, there's not time to develop the henchmen at all.
I
In
had
fact,
a fun
one of
time
them,
with them though. Like I liked them at the that other bridge part or whatever that they were at, and they were like he wanted to find out where Angel was, and there's the big guy and then the little guy or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and that was when he got you chopped the guy's head off or whatever, I believe.
I I
And
thought the I thought the
or
dude
he
that
or he
was
just
that had the longer hair that looked like he was like in a grunge band or something. I thought that dude for a moment. I was like, he's getting into this role. He's enjoying himself in this role, and so I could appreciate that. I also appreciated later when the one henchman sees dead bodies and is like, "Nope, I'm out of here,"
I
and
laughed
just
at that. Like I laughed
yeah,
because
uh-huh.
I was like that's sort of like a I don't know, Joss Whedon Tarantino kind of thing, like scene or something, because like when you see stuff like that, it's true. Like, like that's how somebody's literally gonna be like, nope, I can't handle it. I'm out.
Oh yeah, I'm
Deal with
not
that.
investigating. I mean, yeah, I'm out of here.
Yep. And but then he still got attacked by, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure,
but uh, you know,
tried.
and then the one lady who was like the lawyer or whatever or
Oh yeah,
something.
yeah. This shows up and yeah,
Yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm not a bad person." I'm like, "Dude, you help you're helping a dude sell another girl to like a drug mule. Like, yeah, you know, there's obviously you're not a very nice person. You kind of deserve as much as
He's
everybody
like,
else."
oh, I'm just, yeah, I'm a good person. I'm only slightly involved in massive, terrible crimes. So
I'm
yeah,
just the person who contacts the person who gets everything done.
yeah, yeah, I'm the person who literally set everything up.
Yeah. So yeah, see, you are a pretty fucking horrible person. But, I'm so glad that they didn't just like leave that alone, that she did get her comeuppance, too.
Sure. Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
she died. He, it was funny because I like that line in the movie uh, where our motorcycle guy, Brandon, asked the devil, like, what if I killed somebody who didn't who didn't deserve it, or something, like an innocent person. And he's like, well, if they die, I still get their souls. And I was like, okay, like, at least he's asking that. And I thought that would come up in the movie. Like he accidentally killed somebody that wasn't a bad guy. And that's where I thought it was sort of going with this lady, but I was like, no, she's a
Yeah, a
terrible
little
person.
boy comes out of a church, gets blasted by accident. Oh
Yeah,
no,
something
now
like
he's going to
that. But
hell.
then all of a sudden, yeah, he's going to hell, even if he was the greatest guy in the world. I don't want that to happen to me. Look, I wouldn't want, somebody coming and killing me, and I'm a good person and having to go to hell if I am a good, I don't know if I'm a good person or not. I would like to think so, but like, the jury's out on that one. Um, but like, you know, I wouldn't want to go to hell if I didn't have to. And that's what's going to happen is this, no matter what, this person's going to go to hell. Now, here's a question for you. He was saying, my God, oh my God, help me, God. and the devil showed up, right? And
Are
instead of
you asking me if the devil was his god? Are
well,
you asking
I'm
me
I'm
if he
wondering
was like a
like
fake
what
person?
do you think about that? Like that was so that that was interesting that he was saying my help me God. Does that mean that he was gonna go to hell originally? Like that was the plan, or did the devil pretty much just snag a person who was going to heaven?
Oh yeah, I mean the devil is going to take these opportunities, um,
I would have
and
loved for an angel, like because there's a character named
I
Angel.
mean yeah, but I mean you don't really see that in this type of fiction. I
But that's
mean,
what I'm saying, though. Just mix it up. Make it. You're already sort of not making it.
oh you're asking for complete originality from the asylum. Good luck on that one.
I mean, that would have been cool. Like an angel shows up and they kind of have a little bit of a fight. The devil wins and kicks the angel back to heaven and says, like, this soul is mine now, and everything and whatnot. And the guy has to go
Yeah, I
through
mean
with it because there's no other option.
I just took it as the devil's an opportunist, and you
I guess
know,
that would have taken some more time out of the script and they had all this, whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Like, plus they probably never even thought of
Yeah,
that.
same
Like, that's
same
my
thing with
thought.
same thing with him killing an innocent by accident. They don't have they don't have the budget to film that subplot of how he has a moral crisis from killing an innocent person.
Also,
Um,
like you said, his character was sort of the most blandest of them all. So, like, had he killed the guy, had he killed like an innocent bystander, like some kid or something, that would be terrible. But that would have been a great, like, emotional, drawn scene.
a
Now,
moment for him.
the girl could have done that. Like, the girl could have had that scene, and she could have been like ugly crying and been like, damn, and we could have felt that for her. But I don't know if the other guy would have been able to handle
Yeah,
that.
you know, I do sympathize with the idea of hey, let's give him an emotional beat in the story so that we can see his acting chops.
Hmm.
I kind of think we saw his acting chops. I I
I
kind of think we did.
I guess, but what I'm saying is like I guess I want more. And even though it is the asylum, I know, and they're not very they're just very fun, based. They're not trying to be going to the Academy Awards or anything like that, which I don't expect, but I expect a little bit more, I guess. Like that's kind of what I was hoping for, you know? Maybe in the
Would have been
maybe they'll
cool.
watch this, they'll make a sequel. And it'll come out every 3 years. Another Headless Horseman movie will come out every 3 years.
Hey,
We could only hope.
if he had teleported, it really would have changed things in this film, wouldn't it?
If you teleported,
No need for the motorcycle.
um, well, how far can he teleport? Can he
I
teleport
don't know.
anywhere he wants?
Sure, why not? I mean, he's got the powers of hell. He can do whatever he wants.
But then how can she have it and he didn't? Or did
I
he
don't.
not know how to
That's
do
my
it?
point. She got those hell powers and tapped into them so much quicker than he did,
Maybe
and
that's
she
saying
was
something
able.
about women. Maybe that's saying something about women versus men. Like men are just stupid when it comes to this shit, and women can just,
You're saying she
get it.
read the map. She
I guess
she read
she
the
got it
map, and
down.
he went, "Ah, I'm not lost. I can figure it out on my own."
Exactly. She asked for help and she got it. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep circling around this cul-de-sac until I figure it out. I don't know. I don't know. Because like he needed training, she didn't really need training. And then she figured it all out really quickly. He didn't. So I don't know. It was weird. If he had figured out how to teleport, I don't know. I don't know how far, because it didn't seem like they teleported far, just teleported
No,
from
she just
one thing to
teleported
the
in front
other.
of the bad
So
guys.
I don't know if, and I don't know how long that would take to teleport all the way, or if you'd have to, that would be a funny scene.
Is there a queue?
This is why I do like comedies instead of, horror films these days. But my funny scene idea would be like she starts teleporting, but it's like teleporting every like 10 feet or something. And he teleports
Right.
Let's go. He's just teleporting down the road to get to the thing instead of using the motorcycle. And he's like, fuck it, I'll just use the motorcycle. It's just that's getting me farther. That would have been I don't know, that would have probably taken way too much time out of the plot of the movie. I don't know. It would have been funny though. Would have made me laugh. Um, which I think his parts needed me to laugh because his parts were very, very serious, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Um, and um, and like again, not very emotional. So
Not very emotional, very serious, which when it's serious and not emotional, that's sort of like one of the worst, you know.
dull, sort of
Yeah, it's
dull.
kind of dull. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I can't hate on it, like we've seen worse. We have seen like I think I've showed you I think most of what I've shown you, you've like really hated on, and this you actually seem to enjoy a little bit more. Like,
I mean, like, is this a good movie? No, but I mean, there's parts of it that I laughed a couple of times. Like I said, I found a new actress. I can go look for other movies of hers. Um, I'm always going to be, I'm always going to favor superhero type stuff.
right.
And again, we've certainly, we're very close to the Crow coming out and the reimagining of the comic book.
I think does the Crow come out in September
It's
or
pretty soon.
let's
So in
see.
other words, it's already out when this is on the internet.
Yeah, August
Wasn't that Crow
23rd.
movie great or bad?
Yeah, the new Crow
One of
is
the
already
two.
out. So in August. So, coming
Okay,
up
so
actually
it'll
a
be
month.
out when this comes out. So I either love it or just don't like it. I don't know yet, but you could just edit this later and I can be right. So
AI
we'll
your
see about that
voice.
new Crow movie. But um, it's in that vein. So like, there's only so much I'm gonna be like hating it from that point of view because it's horror superheroes and that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, well, Spawn. And like the
Another
only
bad
reason
movie.
the thing I said about Spawn was like the idea of Spawn was like the devil, made a deal with Spawn so he could go up and kill whoever he wanted, right? Whoever the devil wanted. So
Yeah.
there's that. And so that's at the end of the movie, really. Like toward the end, he's now on a mission to kill any bad guy, basically
Right.
and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
which
yeah. He's
once again, it
now,
was a setup for a potential sequel.
yeah, he's now a spirit of vengeance type where he is going to go and kill bad guys in service of the devil, but so that he can get his girl back and they can be happy. So, again, it's nothing we haven't seen before with
Ghost Rider
Ghost
and
Rider, the Crow,
Spawn.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But again, it's my genre, so or the marriage of my two favorite genres. Again, I mean, not a great movie,
Would you
but
watch this around Halloween time?
would I?
Yeah. Again.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, and it's so weird because you guys know normally a movie of this caliber I would be just raging against because this is not a good movie. Um, but I think that when you look at like if you're gonna put together your own 30 days of Halloween, yeah, you're gonna watch the Halloween films and you're gonna watch what's that really good one from a couple years ago? I think it's called Haunt.
Haunt.
uh Haunt's, I'm pretty sure that's the name of the movie. It's pretty good. And they go into a haunted house and there's killers. And and there's
Oh wait. Are you talking about like wait.
no, or is it called, I might be wrong. The girl from American Idol, one of the contestants from American Idol is the star of it. I thought it was called Haunt.
Was that what it's called? Because is that an indie movie or is that a
It's not
okay,
a
yes,
major
it's Haunt.
release.
Haunt. Yeah. So on Halloween a group of
Yeah, and
friends.
the
Yeah.
brunette girl from one season of American Idol's in it. Yeah, I mean that's a surprisingly good movie. It was one of those where you go, "Oh, wow." And of course there's Trick or Treat and Trick or Treat. If
Yes,
you
Katie
really, if you
Stevens.
want to, what's that?
Katie Stevens was the girl's name.
Yeah, yeah. Katie Stevens is in that.
I was thinking
After
like yeah,
American Idol,
Trick or Treat or uh
like I said,
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. Yeah, the one with Gene
Uh
Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne barely in it, and that
yeah,
movie is trash.
I've heard. I've never actually seen it. I
But
do
it's got
eventually
a
want to do it.
soundtrack. It's got a don't we can't knock on that fast way soundtrack. But the movie itself isn't any good.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably see it at some point, especially if it's if we do it like indie film cafe or something like that. Yeah, and then there's a ton of those really great Halloween style movies. Definitely love like the anthology stuff, like All Hallows Eve, which was the first time you ever saw Art the Clown, not played by David Howard Thornton or whatever.
Thornton.
Yeah, but played by somebody else. Somebody else played Art the
Yeah.
Clown. It was fun. I think I did that for 31 days of indie horror already. I
Right.
really enjoyed it. But it there's or there's a movie Beg, which is about a guy with a pumpkin mask on his head that goes around and kills people. I like that. It was a great, not not entirely. It was just cool to see Tony Moran and Tony Todd and PJ Souls all in a movie together, and stuff like that. That was like, oh, a low budget Rob Zombie kind of thing, or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, it was neat, but so this kind of, I would say this kind of goes with that. If you're gonna do like, if you're gonna make it all Halloween movies, because that's not what I do for 31 days of indie horror. I don't just
Sure.
find
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a
I'm
horror
talking
a
about.
Halloween.
There's a lot of horror fans that starting on October 1st, they watch a horror movie, any horror movie, even if it's something they'd already seen. They'll watch a horror movie every night until
That's
leading up
what
to
we're doing
Halloween.
here. Like that's why I
Yeah.
did this. Now I tried in the first season to do it every day, and that was not
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you can't do that.
yeah.
It
One traffic stop or something, and you've screwed your whole schedule. So
right. Yeah, exactly. That's why you gotta do it ahead of time or pre-record them. But that's what we're doing in July. Hey, it's Halloween in July. Whatever you want to call it.
it's always Halloween for me.
I love Halloween. We did earlier one of my friends and I did a Halloween Jack, The Legend of Halloween Jack. My friend Stephanie and I reviewed that. That's a really bad one. It's a scarecrow killer thing, but it was fun, like
Yeah, I mean,
this was a little better, but
yeah,
you know,
this is not. I mean, I haven't checked. If you check, I guarantee you the IMDb ratings for this are a whole bunch of ones and twos. I mean, more than likely.
yeah.
And does it deserve those? Yeah, kinda. But again, it's I'm not going to hate on it as much as I normally would because the guy's got a Wolverine claw. He's got a flaming head. I wish it was dumber. I really do wish that it would. Well, one, I wish it was either dumber or I wish that it got more serious and developed the characters better and given the actors who can act, um, more of a chance to shine. One of the two. Like I said, it came off the movie's boring to me. It is.
Hmm.
Um, but but when you and I have done this so many times, we've seen so many movies. Um, and it's funny because when people say, oh, I watched Smile and it was the
Right.
worst movie I've ever seen. Okay, well, I mean, opinions vary, but you haven't seen very many movies, have you?
Right.
So,
I
I
mean,
think that when you've seen as many as we have, it's difficult for when a movie comes out to say that's the worst movie of all time
you
because
know,
we've seen some real crap.
Siskel and Ebert gave a really great example. So they said because they do the worst of 1995, right? Say something like that. They'll talk about like Waterworld, right? but they don't talk about movies that were, or I think Showgirls came out that same year. So there were some really
Sure.
bad, rough movies that just, and that they said that they weren't looking for the worst movies because those are movies they don't want people to even see, because they're
Right.
just not entertaining or they're boring or whatever it was. Um, they said they watched um what is it? They they said that these are movies that disappointed them, right? You
Well,
know,
I think a good way that most, and again, if you're a big geek like us, that's one thing. But I think for most people's purposes, you're talking about the worst wide release movies. So, I mean, like when someone says Madam Web, which Madam Web is terrible. But when someone says Madam Web is the worst movie of all time, okay, well, there's a lot of indie films that, you know, are filmed, in somebody's garage that don't have a story and the actors have never acted. I mean, so I think that you have to like cut that slice out and say, okay, we're going to judge these movies, whether it's a Waterworld or a Catwoman or a Madam Web, we're going to judge them against other movies with huge budgets that were shown in theaters. And from that standpoint, yeah, Madam Web is trash
it's not the
because
worst movie. Like, I mean, I don't even know what the worst like rated movie in IMDb, big time movie would be, but like
X versus Sever.
expert.
Ballistic. It's there's one called Ballistic X versus Sever, and it's a bad movie. Again, if you want to say, is it the worst movie that's ever been made?
No,
No.
it got a
But is it the worst?
3.7
Is it the
on
worst?
the, on here. I was gonna say something like movie 43. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, yeah. Movie 43 would be another prime candidate. I'm trying to think of movies that have a 0%. I think X versus Sever had a zero
You're talking about
percent, at
like a
least last.
Rotten Tomatoes score? Or you're talking like
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking
because
Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah,
then I mean then you have to look at like uh uh when it came down to like the Acolyte, that just came out. People have been, and now I mean that might not be fair because I heard a lot of people review bombing it, whatever, on purpose because they don't
yeah.
like it. But
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I
I
can't,
don't have any
but
opinion
I've
on it.
said I have no intention because it just doesn't sound up my alley. But I've heard a lot of reviews and I heard a lot of people say it just the acting is just terrible for like even for a Star Wars movie or show,
Right. With the again, it's kind of playing into that. When you're talking about the budget of a Star Wars, you've got time to make sure you get the right,
Everything.
scenes.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand, to a degree that when you're talking about the Headless Horseman from Asylum, they're turning the camera on, they're doing a run or two, and they're going, all right, next, let's go. Um, but when you're talking about something like Star Wars, you can't. It's not fair in a sense to judge. Well, what's better, the Last Jedi or the Headless Horseman? Well, I mean, why are we comparing these two films? One had all the resources in the world to make things right. One clearly did not.
hmm
Um, both of them not good movies. And again, like I said, with the Headless Horseman, there are certainly things that you know if they had gone over the script a few times or looked at the editing a bit closer, they would have said, "Hey, some of this is just isn't very good, and the story isn't picking up in the excitement level the way it needs to." And I think, and again, I will criticize that because it doesn't cost money to do that. It doesn't
hmm
cost money to write good words. It costs the same amount as it does to write bad words. So, to me, it's, those aspects are kind of lame about this movie. But again, I'm not gonna, I'm not going to criticize, the fact that that pumpkin looks like a cartoon. Um, if that lightsaber looks like a cartoon, now we got a problem because it
Yeah,
cost
and
$200
that's
million to make this movie.
actually it was 180 million and still
Yeah, the acolyte,
180
yeah,
million, $880 million to make a fucking series like and you still got bad acting in it and bad writing and all this
yeah.
shit.
Honestly, the thing about and I know this isn't an acolyte review, and I haven't seen it, but um, I mean, I've heard the costuming and all that stuff. It's like, no, you got money for that. You got money to make sure you got great costumes.
You
Yeah.
have money to like, there's a part I heard where, and I saw actually, because you can see clips on the online, but like where the girl is like, in space with a space helmet on her head for gravity, or whatever for, oxygen and everything, is making a fire. And I'm like, somebody, do they just surround themselves with just idiots who nobody knows science or anything? Or did
Well, I've
somebody say to
heard
them,
that.
that's dumb and you shouldn't do that? And then they go,
I disagree. And I know we're not. Again, I haven't seen
"Mm,
the acolyte, but Star Wars. One of the coolest things about Star Wars is the sound of those TIE fighters as they're running by.
right,
There is no sound in space. So that sound should not be happening.
right.
To me, it is, and now I am willing to keep that sound. I don't care how stupid it is that, oh no, there shouldn't be sound in space. I want that TIE fighter sound to exist. So I have to write my own headcanon that there's some degree of oxygen in the space of Star Wars that
Well,
will
no,
allow sound. And if it'll allow sound, then damn
but
it, it'll allow.
then don't have the helmet.
Yeah,
The space helmet
yeah.
on. Then
Yeah.
have her like be able to breathe the air or whatever, and that makes
Yeah,
more sense then.
like I said, I'm
It's
not going to
stupid
comment
shit
on the
like that.
acolyte because I
That's
haven't
just
seen it.
that's
And
I'm right, but that's just so stupid that to me, I just can't fathom somebody telling them, okay, okay, if you want to have that, because that makes sense. If somebody goes, oh well, there's TIE fighters, they make sound. Well, fine, then just take the helmet off. Oh, oh, and then they go, oh
yeah,
no, it looks cool because there's the scene where you see the reflection. That's it. That was all they wanted was the reflection from her thing, seeing the stuff. So she's, so you can see her see, like instead of it seeing through her eyes, like sometimes they do or whatever, that you're seeing it through the reflection of the. It just was stupid. So this movie when they do something like this where they have a big pumpkin on his head and he's having these flaming shit coming out of it and it's obviously Ghost Rider, meets the Headless Horseman, I'm okay with it. Because it already doesn't it, like there's not two different things that just like make me go, okay, my mind is gone. I can't take this. See what I'm saying? And
well,
that's
I mean,
that's my
again,
little speech there.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about a film where again the devil puts a pumpkin seed in the guy's nose because he has a cut on his nose, so he shoves a pumpkin seed up his nose and oh, and what did you think about when he took the pumpkin head off and threw it at the guy?
I
That
loved it.
was kind of cool, right?
I
Come
wish they had done a
on.
little bit more of that, like why not, right? Um,
Yeah.
see, I don't know if you know this about me, but the Headless Horseman, like the Sleepy Hollow story, is my favorite story. It's my favorite short story that I've ever read. That and Rip Van Winkle, both by Sir Washington Irving, are two of my favorite like shorts and stuff. And like I have the Disney Ichabod and Mr. Toad double feature. Love that. It's two of my favorite stories. I fucking love Mr. Toad. And I never got to ride Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I don't think it exists anymore. Because I never got to go to Disney, ever in my life. That's something I'm trying to
I'm
eventually
actually
rectify.
the latest text on my phone is from a Disney vacation planner, and I am going to Disney in September for the first
Woo!
time. I'm
For the first
incredibly
time ever.
excited.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I've never been. I've never been. And
Sorry,
so
Disney,
yeah,
for saying junk about the Acolyte, but I like I haven't seen it, so I
I don't. Who
can't like
cares?
say that
We
it's
don't pay.
bad. All I can say is that I was not happy with the things I was hearing, and stuff, and
Yeah,
that just makes me kind of sad. I loved Star Wars. Like I didn't grow up with it like a lot of people. I thought it was okay when I was a kid, but I wasn't a nut. Um,
you were
but
more Krull.
I was
I'm
nothing.
just kidding. You were
I
no
was
Krull.
no, I was more Saved by the Bell. I was more Snick and
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
forget
That
that.
was that was I'm a little younger than you. So I was a little bit
Oh yeah.
different of a time period where we had Saturday morning cartoons like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Real Ghostbusters, but we didn't have, like that was my cup of tea. But so watching this movie, like I said, like the this guy, the Headless Horseman, was always one of my favorite stories. To go with Snick, Are You for the Dark? One of my favorite episode of all time is the Midnight Ride where it does the Headless Horseman one and stuff. They don't throw the pumpkin head at the guy or whatever. I don't, does he? Kind of, but he has it. It was a headless horseman running around and everything. It was so cool. And it's kind of sad that this was, I guess they couldn't afford a horse or it just doesn't look as cool as a motorcycle, like, I don't know.
Oh no, no, no. Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Have him driving around, have him riding around the big city on a horse? I think it. And here's, I think that one, the motorcycle really it's a flaming head riding a motorcycle. It's Ghost Rider. I don't
Yeah,
care. I
it's
mean, it's
absolutely,
Ghost Rider.
even if
Um,
he hadn't done the flaming head and just, I mean, had the thing, it wouldn't have been Ghost Rider. But the fact that it was flaming automatically made it Ghost Rider, which I, I, I guess you can't really trademark an image like that, right? Like,
Flaming
Marvel
head,
can't
probably not.
sue that for that. So yeah, it's weird to think about, but I guess anybody could do a flaming head riding a motorcycle guy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'd be an issue if he had a skull, but
Yeah, but it's not a
I
skull,
mean,
it's a pumpkin head.
it's a pumpkin. It's a parody. It's we're doing a send up. I don't know, but
Mockbuster.
um, yeah, I think that I mean, obviously the visual is it is what it is. I
It
mean,
is.
it's cheap looking, but it was okay for me. I mean, um, I didn't mind it.
I like your image in the background a little bit better. It's a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I literally just pulled up. I I run a nonprofit and we do an apocalypse theme event. And that was just something I pulled up for the second one. It's called Apocalypticon, and it's we're going to be doing that in February. So it's
Nice.
it's a big party that basically the premise is that it's the end of the world and all the survivors gather to drink and have fun.
Do you play the
And
REM song?
what I actually this year I will have somebody performing music, but we have I mean we have a we had dystopian drag. We had a fashion show of some like really cool looking clothing. We had a bunch of like aerial acts and like performers dressed like Mad Max that were doing stuff in cages and
That's
on.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's got nothing to do with this movie, but that explains why I have a nuclear blast behind
Well,
me.
I mean, that's fine because we're probably gonna have to move away from this movie in a little bit anyway. We've been talking for this for over an hour already, and honestly, I like to kind of wrap it up. I liked the movie, but I didn't love the movie. I wanted to love it a little bit more, I think. Especially since I kind of dig Jose's films generally. Like I think he's a really good director. I just feel like the main character is flat. He could have done better. Um, or maybe, like I said, maybe he was directed to be that monotone. I don't know. I can't say that. Um,
Which it's possible, but if your main character is monotone and flat, well, then there's only so far you can go with that. I mean, you've made a mistake in formulating the character then, because I mean, there's very little emotion that comes out of this guy, and there are times where I mean, some of these actors are better than the material that they were presented with. But if you have, if your directing isn't on point, if the script isn't on point, sometimes things, even from good actors, they cannot be as good as it could be. I mean,
mhm.
you put you put Daniel Day Lewis in a Neil Breen movie, and I don't think he's winning any Oscars. Uh, you know, which
Now I want
did
to
you?
see that.
Oh, I mean, well, first of all, I would say I do want to see Daniel Day Lewis in a Neil Breen film, but I don't want to see anyone in a Neil Breen film except Neil Breen because Neil Breen is
Well,
the
no, Neil
best.
Breen will be the star, but Daniel
Oh
Day-Lewis
yeah,
will
yeah,
have a
yeah. Daniel
cameo.
Day Lewis can do something in it. Yeah.
You know what?
Um,
I mean, if I were a billionaire, like I was like Elon Musk rich, I would be doing shit like that. That's what I'd be doing in my film company. I'd be like, all right, so we're gonna have this be Neil Breen directing and writing. We're gonna have him star in it. We're gonna have Daniel Day-Lewis have a small cameo part, or a part in it where he gives like an Oscar, speech or whatever, like. I don't know. It'd be fun because even though I don't think I don't think it would that would do well in the mainstream. That would definitely do well in the indie circuit. You know,
I mean, well, first of all, Daniel Day Lewis is not wasting his time with with Neil Breen, but I
if
mean,
you paid him well enough, yeah, you would.
I don't know that he would. I don't. He's not wasting his time with Marvel. He's not wasting his time with Neil Breen. Um, the uh, the thing is, though, speaking of Neil Breen, I love Neil Breen. I mean, I've got a T-shirt. I watch every one of his
I do
movies.
too. I actually
Fateful
have a
Findings
T-shirt.
is a classic as far as I'm concerned. But these are terrible, terrible movies. I mean, the latest one is just maybe his worst one yet. I mean, it's really bad. Um,
Paul wants to do that for Indie Film Cafe, but apparently not this year. Maybe next season. I don't know, but like he had like he's that's on the agenda eventually because we've done like four of them so far, or three or four. We did was Fateful Findings, Twisted Pair, then we did another one. We did um
I am here
I am here now.
now.
Yeah, I am here.
Yeah,
Dot 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 now, and we haven't done like pass through or whatever. He keeps saying, we don't want to do those because like if we do them like every year, we'll run out, and stuff. He
yeah,
wants
yeah,
to
yeah.
savor them for special occasions or whatever. Because the first 2 years we did two of them already, like let's try to savor them. And I was like, okay, okay. Plus, we don't want it just to be like the Neil Breen show, like we want to focus on other directors. Like we eventually want to do Tommy Wiseau on it, which we did not do. We did The Room for like Patreon only because it's a bigger movie, or whatever.
I mean, this has again nothing to do with the Headless Horseman. But so this other podcast that you guys do, are you? Is it like? Is it bad movies? I mean, like Samurai Cop. I mean, you got to
We
do
did
that
Samurai
one.
Cop, yeah. We did Samurai
Um,
Cop. So
the
Indie
story
Film
of
Camp.
Ricky. Have you done Ricky O? The story of Ricky.
No, I think I
Oh,
heard of it because I feel
it's
like
a
we
classic.
try to so our show Indie Film Cafe, which this is on that channel, so 31 Days of Indie Horror is part of, even that this whole show Indie Film Cafe in the beginning of the thing, like this is like basically Indie Film Cafe presents. But what's it? We did yeah, we did some of them. We try to do ones that like riff tracks won't do, and even ones that we do a lot that Red Letter Media does, but we try not to do a lot, do ones that they won't even cover because either they're just not, they just don't even know about it or something, because they're more mainstream when it comes to B movies. Like they did, I think they did Finding I think they've done a few Neil Breen movies, but like Neil Breen is more popular, right? Like Tommy Wiseau
Yeah,
is more popular.
shockingly, yes.
Birdemic is more popular. But like,
Sure.
have you ever watched Zombie Cop?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Have you ever watched oh my God, hold on one sec. Let me because we have a stinkometer. That's what it's called. So we have a stink. We got to get you on it at some point because you talk about these things all the time with us.
Where does the Headless Horseman rank on the stinkometer?
Um, I would probably give it a five, on the
Okay, that's
stinkometer
not that
because
stinky.
it's not very
That's
stinky.
average
I mean,
stink.
it's average. It's not, it's kind of meh, like it's not,
Yeah.
it should be a lot stinkier. I think when you said there's a few things that they could have done to make it worse and you would have liked it better because of that, I think they played it safe, um, when it comes to that. But we have a lot of,
Well, I'm not. You use the word safe. I think they played it lazy. I mean,
that's a good word.
either go and embrace the ridiculous, which I think Neil Breen has done, or make yourself a good movie. And this movie did neither. But
So
go
on
ahead.
our stinkometer, we have a three system rating, right? We'll have usually three guests, while every guest, says their thing. So it'll be like 1 to 10, 10 being the stinkiest, right? So, you know, um, and so like as if like you're smelling, stink. And which one's how stinky is that? Oh, that's a 10, on the scale or whatever.
Sure. So a 10 is the
So
worst.
10 is the worst. So 30 is the worst. We've gotten up to 30. We've only got a couple 30 pluses, to be honest. We've had like well, it says two, but I think we've had more because I think we did one that hasn't been updated yet. But all right. So these are the ones right now that's have been updated. That's a 30. Here you go. And tell me if you've heard of or watched any of these movies. Have you seen Miss Werewolf?
No, I'm going to say you probably you in your own free time watch movies that are so bad that no one else has even heard of them.
Right.
But go ahead.
Miss
So far,
Werewolf, that's a 30 plus. Shark Exorcist.
I've heard of it but haven't seen it.
Nope. Fateful Findings, you've probably seen because you like Neil Breen.
I mean, again, I've seen it and recommended it to everyone I meet.
Hanneman and the Five Riders.
Nope.
Killer Biker Chicks.
No, but it sounds awesome.
Terror at Bigfoot Pond.
No.
Oh, by the way, no. Killer Biker Chicks is not as fun as it sounds. It's boring.
Oh, that.
That was
Yeah.
a
See,
big
I mean,
reason why I
that's
got
what
it.
I'm saying. If your movie is what is it, Killer Biker Chicks? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
They, I think what happened was and we watched it. It was just like it was too long. It was like almost 2 hours, and stuff, and it did not need to be that long. The biggest problem was it was all over the place. There's too many characters, and I think that's a matter of like people love to cast their friends, love to cast all these awesome people, and then they just have too many people, and then it's just like okay, we need to give them all screen time. We need to give them all screen time. We need whatever, whatever. Um,
yeah, favorite.
so Liking
Um,
Colony,
nope.
Twisted Pair,
Yeah, that I've seen.
yeah, Zombie Cop, you said no. Turkish Star Wars.
No, but I'm down.
I know everything. So Paul can find all these Turkish movies that just are Turkish, like Rambo or Turkish, whatever, all these
Sounds
ridiculous
great.
things. Yeah. Busted, which was the Corey Feldman movie. He directed it. Pretty sure you didn't see that. Geek Mega Bingo. I'm pretty sure you've never heard of that one. Marina Monster. I know you haven't seen Maradonia because that they hid that shit. We had somebody had to tell me about it and tell me where to find it. That was how bad it
Oh, but
was.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to watch Devil of Blue Mountain because Devil of Blue Mountain it's a direct to it's not a direct to video movie. It's direct to nothing. That is legitimately, I think, the worst movie I've ever seen. Um,
Oh,
only
it's only got
three.
two actors.
It's got three, two women that are abducted by a guy, and so there's only three actors in the
Well, that's
film.
only two are listed in the
Yeah,
IMDb.
there's the kidnapper, and then two women that he abducts. So yeah, well, they can't
Let me
even get their
guess. One of the
IMDb credits
girls.
right.
I bet one of the girls did not.
Want to
Whoa,
take credit for
that's weird because it like one of the girls is credited as girl killed by fursuit creature. Oh my God.
it? Well, spoiler alert.
I mean, what? A bat? Wow, they just let anybody do their IMDb. It says a bad version of any slasher film in the woods without anyone who can act. That is literally the IMDb synopsis for it.
That's amazing. But literally, Devil of Blue Mountain is the worst movie I've ever seen. It is just two women who've been kidnapped walking in the woods with some guy. It's that for like an hour.
That sounds
It's
boring though.
it's atrocious. It's a real chore to get through.
Oh
I
God,
mean,
it's so expensive to buy. I'm looking on eBay, it's like $35. I'm not fucking spending $35.
oh no, it's not worth 30. Oh, you'd have to
No,
give me $35 to watch it again.
I know, no, fuck it. I don't care how out of print it is. If it's that bad, I'll try I'll see if Paul can find it on his sketchy Russian porn site.
No,
Um
I mean, forget about the asylum. Compared to Devil of Blue Mountain, the Headless Horseman is A24. Okay, I mean, like uh, there's only so much I can hate this
wouldn't
movie
that be
when.
awesome if Asylum teamed up with A24?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, I don't like I guess all of a sudden they have more money so they'd be able to do like, bigger, better stuff, but like would they? Like I don't
Like
know.
the prestige version of Sharknado.
I think they would still do Sharknado. It would just be
Well, I mean,
Sharknado,
it's
and all the sharks would look better, and there'll be a better actor, like what was that? What's that guy from all the Taken movie? Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson would be the father trying to save his family from the sharks and stuff. That'd be awesome. I know, like the Toxic Avenger got a remake and has a fucking dude from Game of Thrones in it.
you know what though, and I'm sure the news will change by the time this comes out, but I'll tell you, like I just saw today that the word about the new Toxic Avenger movie is that it's unreleasable, that like no studio wants it because no studio wants to lose money on it. Apparently, it's not good. Which I mean, the Toxic Avenger, it's not supposed to be, you know, everything everywhere all at once. It's not supposed to be that kind of movie. But the word about the new Toxic Avenger movie is not good, and I feel really bad about that because I wanted it to be awesome, you know. So we'll see. But I mean, I even read one quote where someone that had seen it was saying that it might end up being a movie that just gets tossed. So,
Well, that sucks. Especially if Peter Dinklage is in it, and I think he's in it and stuff, right? Like that
yeah,
would,
yeah, he plays Toxic.
yeah,
Yeah,
like that would be awesome. But
yeah, he's awesome. I mean,
but
obviously an amazing actor. So yeah.
yeah. So I don't know how. Like I guess I don't know if they did the real script or if they rewrote it. I don't know, but I don't know. Anyway, we still haven't done the Toxic Avenger. We've done other trauma movies, but we haven't done the Toxic. We did Romeo and Juliet and
Love
uh
Trauma.
Sergeant Kabuki Man. That's great. That's fun. But see, those didn't get high stinkometer ratings. that
No,
type
because no,
of.
they're supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be goofy. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're more fun, and which makes them less stink, and stuff. Even though they themselves will tell you that these movies are pretty bad, or whatever. I enjoy them. Um,
No, they're
yeah,
fun.
like I said, this would, I mean, what would you give this as a stinkometer score?
Um, and you said yours goes up to 30? What a
No,
hot,
no, no,
that's
no, no,
really.
no, no, 10. Everybody
Oh.
picks, so everybody goes up to 10. So say
Oh,
everybody
so
voted 10, if
the added score,
the
the added
added
score
score is
is 30.
30.
I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it would be going in. Like I said, I mean, as soon as I get home, I'm going to try and find something else that I'm going down on here. Amanda Jones. I'm going to see what else she's been in that might be good. Because, like I said, I don't think she was bad. Um, you know, and I like so I don't know if it's on the stinkometer, we already know it's bad, right?
I mean, no,
I,
I
I mean,
mean,
yeah, I mean, you're not putting, um, you know, uh, the Shawshank Redemption on the stinkometer at all, right? So if it's got to be bad to
well, no,
even
because it's
get on
not
the
an indie
stinkometer,
movie. Like we're only putting indie movies on there. Like we don't really put like high end art on there. We
yeah,
save
well,
those for
I
other
mean, just like
shows,
from
but
a quality standpoint. So
right,
if it's already got to be bad, then sure, I'll give this a 5.
yeah, all right.
I mean, because like I said, I mean, if you're saying a good indie movie's never going to be even on the stinkometer,
I bet if
then okay.
Paul watched this movie, he would give it a higher stinkometer score because I think he'd be a little bit more critical than even we are about it. But I I look at it from a filmmaker's perspective and think like, would I watch this again? Like I said, like I would watch this again on a Halloween thing, or whatever. If
Well,
somebody wanted to watch this with me, I'd do it. Like
and
it
again,
it
I'm
won't
looking at
hurt
it
me.
as if a 10 is Devil of Blue Mountain, and you're talking like a 9 or 8 is Suicide Girls Must Die, then I can't justify giving this a 7. I
Or
mean,
like, yeah, or like a one though would be like a really good movie, like I forgot. I've given ones to things like I think like Lunatic's a Love Story or something like that got like a one or two, and that is to me just a really well done movie. But it was produced by like Sam Raimi and those guys, like that's they Bruce Campbell helped make, like they really they knew what they were fucking doing. You know what I mean? A lot of these movies they don't know what they're doing, and a lot of these movies, including The Headless Horseman, were probably shot in like 6 days. They didn't have a lot of
uh-huh.
time. They brushed the script
Quick.
out. They're like, what can we do next week? Let's shoot Headless Horseman. All right, write it up in 2 days. Let's start getting this going, and
Yeah, and I think that you know the lack of care about making a good movie is a little insulting because I mean, I don't have any dreams of making a movie, but I know there's a lot of people out there who it is their dream in life to make a movie. And so it's so weird that the asylum has this money where they can just go out and just say, "Look, we're just churning these things out. We're not trying to." And I know that if you ask them, they'd go, "No, no, no, no." Well, I mean, I assume, but there's no real care being put into this. I mean, and so it's a little insulting for like if I was someone who was trying to get into filmmaking, I'd be like, these guys took the easy way out in
well,
every single way.
and
It
and
just so
maybe
happens that, like I said, I mean, they had a couple of actors who could deliver some good lines and emote, okay, and all that.
well, and you're right about that, but like you're saying it's the company's fault, really, because even if like Jose Prendez wanted to make a really, really good movie, which I'm
With
sure
what
he
time and
did,
budget?
he wasn't able to do that because he entrusted the resources to a company that And I'm not bashing them because I love the asylum. I worked for the
Yeah,
asylum. I acted in an asylum movie,
sweet.
and whatnot. So I love the
The
guys.
Oscar goes to.
Yeah, not me. Um, I know that for a fact. I did not. I was lucky to have any lines with Eric Roberts, and I was happy with that. But
Sweet.
when you look at this movie and you look at, they just didn't have the time. They just didn't have the budget. They just didn't have it. But they
No.
tried. They really tried to make
Sure,
something that
yeah.
was good enough. And I think once again, that's why I gave it kind of a meh because I believe like it should have been better. Like it really should have been. And it wasn't.
As a director, do you turn down a gig
No,
when someone says, "I want you to make a movie. By the way, the script hasn't been written, but it will be by the end of the week. And
right.
by the way, you're going to be done filming this thing, by next Tuesday." Like like do I can't imagine being someone who wanted to be a director or wanted to be a screenwriter and saying, "No, I'm going to turn down a credit on IMDb. I'm going to
I'm
turn down a paying gig. I'm going to
especially if
turn
you're
down."
not if you're Michael Bay, yes, but
Oh
if
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
but if you're a indie filmmaker who doesn't have that many credits, or even if you had like 20 credits on your hand, most likely you're taking the job because it's a job. It's paying you. They're paying
Right.
Jose Prentice for writing the script. They're paying Jose Prentice to direct them. Might not be a lot of money. It's probably not, it's probably enough to basically pay rent in Hollywood,
And
and that's enough.
and if I can write this script over the weekend, well, if that just means I've built a relationship with a studio that's going to pay me to write 100 more scripts.
Exactly.
So, you know, I'm not saying that the people involved in making this movie didn't care. There are points in this movie where you can see they cared. Um, like I said, the studio itself is just churning these things out.
Hmm.
And so, they don't have time to set up you know, to get the best shot. And I'm guessing. I've never been on a set for an asylum movie, but I'm assuming that they are filming these scenes and moving on with the
Yep.
next one.
Yep. I was there.
Um,
I was there for one. Like I said, I was in there for Collision Earth, and during Collision Earth, it was a new director. He had directed like shorts or something before that, and he got this big break to direct
this could have
a
been a short.
feature film, and he was there. Like, he was a little, he was under the gun. There were times where he was like, trying his hardest to get these things going, and then at the end of the day, he was that guy Matthew Boda, I think is his name. Was at the end of the day, he was coming over to everybody saying, "Thank you so much for everything you did today." Blah blah. But I don't know how he did every other day. I only worked one day, but like that was the thing. And so I was like so happy working on that set because at the end of the day, they were doing what they could with what they had. They had a lot to film that day with Eric Roberts, for the whole day. They had him for the whole day. They were like, we're gonna get every single shot we can from him. And they did. And that was no
How
feat.
much do you pay Eric Roberts to come out and film for a day?
Whatever his day rate is. I don't I would have no idea. I couldn't even guesstimate because I just don't know. But whatever his day rate
'Cause-
is, you call him up, you say, "Hey, Eric Roberts, especially if you're in LA, right? Say, Eric
yeah,
Roberts, we're in LA, we're gonna be shooting this movie on this day. Are you available?" Or his agent or whoever you have to contact, and they said, "Sure, set up." They go, they shoot that one. He comes in, he's very professional, just like I'm sure Michael Pare was. Shows up, does his lines, does a great job, walks out. Because Michael Pare, I guarantee you that was all one day with him. He didn't have to change his clothes.
oh
He
sure,
was
yeah,
all
yeah.
on the bridge. He just comes in that night, shoots his bit, goes home, comes, and then doesn't have to come back. And
And then
everybody
does
else
the movie another movie the next day.
probably.
Which if you look at Eric Roberts and Michael Pare, boy, their IMDb's are just, I mean,
Yeah.
it's one movie after another.
And they're
Which
people who are stellar, with their stuff, with their
Yeah,
craft, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if they've ever been in a movie together, but that'd be awesome. I think so. I bet the Mahal brothers have put them in a movie together somewhere. But that to me is truly amazing, and we have talked about this for way longer than I expected. But like honestly, this movie, I would suggest people watch it if they want to watch something for Halloween that they haven't seen and that they're not going, don't go in expecting it to be, Halloween, the movie Halloween,
Right.
or something like that. This isn't John Carpenter. This is Jose Prendez making a movie in 6 days on a minimal budget, you know and that's it. Like probably 50K, I would imagine. Like they say they spend a lot of money on it. I doubt that they spend as much money as they say on like IMDb they spend, like usually say like a lot more, mainly to make the audience think that it's a bigger budget than it is, you know. And so they just made a movie, you know. I mean, that's the other thing. You were saying earlier that a filmmaker, like a director, would a director turn down a movie? No, especially if the movie is produced by the Asylum, you're not going to turn it down because you know them at the end of the day, Asylum has a thing where by in 3 months this movie's out, you know?
Well, sure.
So you're gonna have a finished product. Whether it's good or bad, it's not gonna matter. It's gonna be on your resume that people can see that you made a directing movie. You could put that into your investor package when you want to sell people on you directing like a bigger project, and stuff. Like, look, I direct all these movies for the Asylum. Hire me to direct your next movie, you know? Um,
Yeah,
here you go. So, all
yeah.
right.
Like I
Well,
said,
thank you, David.
no, thank you.
Uh,
I'm strangely glad I saw this.
Strange. Well, I'm glad you did too, and I'm glad I was a little worried because you're sometimes a little harsher on some of the ones, and that and I have showed you ones that I mean, the last one I liked a lot more than you did, so
No, I hate it.
yeah, but I liked it a lot more. The director was not too happy with us. I don't know how Jose will be if he sees this, but I'm sure he won't
No,
see
well, I mean,
our
and
review.
I think that when people, and I'd say this to anybody, when an audience watches your film, they're going to experience it in their own way.
Hmm.
Um, that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It just means if somebody's in a bad mood that day and they watch a movie for the first time, it's gonna affect them in a certain way that if you're in a good mood, it won't. And I think that there's a million reasons why someone could watch a movie and not see what the director intended, or what the screenwriter, the studio, everybody, for what they intended. If you're making a movie, uh, you got to have a little bit of a thicker skin, because you got to understand people are going to watch the movie that for whatever reason it may be. I mean, I remember I got some really bad news one time and then saw a Christopher Nolan movie. And when that movie was over, I hated that movie
Was that movie
because,
Tenet?
no. Tenet, you just couldn't understand a word that was being said. Um, no,
I've heard so
but
many people say they hated that movie, and I was just like,
it was the sound mix really sucked on that movie, but otherwise it was good. No, but the thing is, it wasn't a matter that the movie was bad. I was not in the headspace to watch the film. And so, if you had asked me then, what'd you think of that movie? That movie sucked. I can't believe it. Nolan sucks. But you watch it again a couple months later and you go, ah, shit, that was a great movie.
I think
So
sometimes movies deserve a rewatch. I think I want to eventually do a podcast where I rewatch movies that I haven't seen in a while and to like that maybe I didn't like or that whatever or don't remember how I felt about it, and stuff. And I
yeah,
think I was gonna call it like rewatch and review. And I never did it. I have too many podcasts. So I
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
gave up on them.
So I think that the if the director sees this, even though I may have said 10 times the movie's boring, it's not. No one's blaming him. I mean, no one's saying, you know, you're bad at what you're bad. You should stop making movies or whatever. um I experienced the movie in a certain way, and like I said, there's certain aspects of the movie that I'm like, man, that was awesome, and I wish they would have explored it more. That's totally on me. I mean, that's
That's
the way I experienced the movie,
well,
because I like getting into the mental part of the film. So as soon as she showed her arm, and we knew that she had a history of suicidal ideation, I immediately, my brain goes, oh, they could explore this thing and this, and they could go over all the way over here. So it's not the movie's fault that it didn't do that.
right.
It's me thinking, oh, well, it could do that. So I mean, so you bring yourself into. I mean, watching a movie is, I'm not just watching it. I'm bringing everything that is me to it as well. And so that's going to impact how I see it. So hopefully the people who see this movie aren't looking at it going, ah, man, these guys, they're a couple of haters. I mean, hope not.
Well, I mean, and you're right. Like your mood dictates the stuff. To go back to Siskel and Ebert, I looked up yesterday. There was a on Letterbox. There was like every movie that was it Siskel and Ebert gave a thumbs down to. Both gave a double thumbs down to. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, most of those movies I love. Beverly Hills Cop 1 through 3, they gave a thumbs down for. Every single Beverly Hills Cop
Didn't
movie.
Ebert hate E.T. or something like that?
Yeah, like
Something
he
like
hates
that.
horror, like he doesn't have my taste in movies. My dad used to say this very like interesting thing. He used to say, "Agestibus non est disputandum." I say that he used to because I haven't heard him say it. It's not like he's dead or anything, but like I haven't heard him say it in a while. But Agestibus non est disputandum, right? Which meant taste is not disputable. Okay? You saying, you hate something does not mean that I'm gonna hate something. So
Sure.
we try to tell people that just our reviews don't matter,
Yeah, I
necessarily.
mean,
We're just
that
telling you
goes
how we
equivalent to
feel.
Star Wars of I don't like it. Well, I do. Okay, well, we disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
I mean,
Because
what are we arguing for?
once again,
So,
Siskel and Ebert, they'd always fight, and one guy would give one thumbs, and that kind of thing. And I was always interested in that because, and then I'd go watch the movie anyway because I wanted to give my, if it was something I wanted to watch, like Billy Madison, I'm not going to watch it because Cecil Ebert gave it 2 thumbs down. I'm going to watch it and say that's one of my favorite fucking comedies of all time. Screw
yeah,
what they have to say. But then I'll watch something that they gave a thumbs down to. I'm like, that deserved a thumbs down or a thumbs up, you know? I mean, it's everybody has their own taste. And I enjoyed this movie, but it wasn't the most enjoyable movie, you know. And I feel like the problem a lot of times is that it just could have been better, and that happens a lot in the indie world. Just could have been better, you know.
you know what? Better than a couple of the Crow sequels.
The one with
Not
Edward
better than the
Furlong,
Crow. What's that?
the one with Edward Furlong. What about that one?
The one with Edward Furlong was not good. Uh,
I remember
it was,
watching that one.
yeah. So there you go. It's not as good as The Crow, but probably better than a couple of the sequels. So there you go.
There you go.
You know what? Put that on the box. Uh,
If you
are
re-release
there
it
going to be
on
DVDs of this
4K,
movie?
4K, put it out, put it out, say, yeah, your line. That's
Yep.
funny. Better than
Cool.
the Crow sequels.
Yeah.
David
Yeah.
Lane.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up so we can be under 2 hours. But yeah,
Yeah,
not the worst movie in the world.
this has been the longest so far that we've recorded. I wonder if
That's cool.
that'll be the thing. I don't know. Uh I, it's funny because like I didn't think I'd get into this like this, but whatever. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Join me tomorrow for a brand new episode, and I'm really excited. Like this has been an interesting grouping of movies. because all of these movies are like as seen on Tubi. You can find them on Tubi, so you can watch this movie on Tubi. Please do. I mean, we recommend watching it, especially Halloween time. But not everything's gonna be like this. By the way, there will be another Asylum movie because I already recorded it and it's gonna come out later. But there's gonna be another Asylum movie that we do that's different than this one. So but I didn't realize both were Asylum movies until I already chose them. So I was like, all right, well, that's they're different directors, but Asylum. So and I think that one was a little bit more fun than this one. As far as like, yeah. So you'll see what it is later. Um, Everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this and let me know. Are you guys big Headless Horseman fans, the this movie fans, or are you not? Some of the IMDb people, you're right, we're not fans of this movie. And so there you go.
Yes.
All right, everybody, have a good one, and we will see you later. Bye.
Thank you.